So in the old days, growing up, you'd look at all the generation above us, and everyone had sort of like the old school cars. But the Capri was the one to have. Funnily enough, growing up, I wasn't actually really a fan of Capris growing up. As a kid, I didn't actually like the long bonnet. And then one day after when I was at college, one of my friends had a Capri, and he said, "Look, come on, look, we'll take a drive in his Capri." And he had a Mark I Capri. It was a 3-litre GXL. And we went out for a spin in it after college, and that was it. It was game over. And after that, I was just like smitten with Capris. It was just I just had to have one. You had various different models. You had like from a 1.3 engine right up to like a 3-litre engine. They further on the 3-litre was replaced with a 2.8 injection, and then finally when it came to the end of production, you had the final version, the limited edition that came out, which was the 280 Brooklyns. So that was the one that came with the 15-inch alloys, the black leather interior, and there was 1,038 of them. 1,038 of them made. How many of them actually remain now, I don't know. I bought my first one when I was sort of 19. I'm 50 now, so I've always owned a Capri. Probably regret selling and letting go most of those. Looking in hindsight, I probably would have loved to have just kept all of them and just stuck them in a barn. I was looking in Auto Trader. We found one. It was a goldy brown colour. It was a 3-litre gear, and I bought it from Northolt. And I always remember sort of like going to pick it up, because in the old days, you went there and it wasn't always, if it wasn't cash, it was a banker's draft, and I gave the guy a banker's draft, and I sort of I was really disappointed because I went there to buy it. He wouldn't accept the banker's draft, so I had to actually, you're so excited, you're going to go and pick up your car, and suddenly you're told you're not going to get it. So I had to leave the banker's draft with him and actually wait a couple of days for the bank to kind of clear it, and once he was happy, then I could actually go back and pick it up. As soon as I got the keys to the car, that was it. It was straight into the petrol station, filled the tank right up, and that was it. I just went, picked up all my mates, and I think we pretty much spent the next 2 or 3 days just driving that car around. It was great because to own a Capri back in the day, it was something special. To own a 3-litre was it was even more. So yeah, we had some great times in that car. Within sort of like my circle of friends, I was the first one to get to purchase my 3-litre, and then after that, my friends bought them, and between all of us, we had about 5. And they were all 3 litres. So yeah, that was great. We'd all get together, go cruising all together in them. And it was also good because when it came to sort of like fixing them, maintaining them, we all had the same. We all had pretty much the same car, the same engine, and that was nice because you needed some help, sort of again keeping them running, keeping them on the road. So with my first Capri, for example, I did a lot of work to that. I had it resprayed. I went through a new engine, a new gearbox. A suspension. I spent a lot of money on that car, and whereas now, with this car, I'd rather just keep it all kind of like as stock as possible. It's I wouldn't lower this one again. My other Capris, I've kind of lowered them, and yeah, it's just difficult nowadays. You've got speed ramps everywhere. You can't lower them. The reason I wanted to buy a 3-litre again was it was just like one of my favourite models. I like the engine. I like the 3-litre V6 Essex engine. It's easy to work on. You haven't got the fuel injection system. It's not complicated. It's just a carburetor on the 3-litre V6 Essex engine. It's easy to kind of service, maintain, look after. And again, like I said, lift up the bonnet, plenty of space, to work on the car. I've done some work to the suspension at the back, so I took out the older suspension. I've replaced it with single leaf suspension, and then I've also put some Spax adjustable shock absorbers on the back as well. The car had 13-inch alloys on here, and so what I've done is I've replaced it now. So I've got the 7x15-inch replica RS wheels. I've done the exhaust system. I've replaced that with a Jan Speed exhaust system. I'd rather keep the car as stock as possible. You know, when somebody sees the car now, they appreciate it. It's a bit of history. They'll come up and, you know, it's all original. You know, I get lots of comments. Oh, I had one of those when I was younger, and people appreciate it when it looks a little bit more original, rather than sort of modifying it like we did in the old days. Yeah. Part of the fun of owning these cars is actually working on them, because these old cars aren't as complicated as new cars. You know, if you needed to change the interior, you know, you can, you know, it's just sort of like you get your toolbox out, undo some bolts, undo some screws, you can change the interior. Some of the more complicated stuff, you know, then again, you know, it will go down into a garage for a mechanic. You know, if there's some gearbox work to be done, you know, that I wouldn't sort of tackle that now. It's an old car. It's 1979. You know, it's not got your ABS and all the other modifications that you have on the newer cars. But it's the driving experience is why you drive one of these. It's an old car. It's a driver's car. You hear the 3-litre engine. You've got the Jan Speed exhaust system. You know, you don't even need the stereo on. It's just the pleasure of driving it and just listening to the engine. I remember when I first bought it. The guy I bought it off, he actually said to me, he goes, you're not going to need a stereo. He goes, you can just drive it and just listen to the engine, and that's all you'll need. You know, 10 years later, he was totally correct.